What is up, W Sports podcasters? Jimothy and Tubby, we are back at it again because guess what? It's Friday, which means we got football all weekend long, and we had a great game even on Thursday Night Football yesterday. A couple one-handed grabs. My newly acquired Garrett Wilson went absolutely crazy yesterday, so it was great. Anyway, that's a side note, but the W Sports podcast, we're grateful to be back. Tubby, welcome back to the show, man.
What is up? I watched that game last night, part of it, and boy, watch out for the Texans. The things are not looking great for them right now.
Yeah, I do think that is. I mean, maybe we can hit that real quick since it happened, yesterday. Usually we record this on
Yeah,
Thursday. Obviously, it was Halloween, so we weren't able to. But uh, yeah, the Texans. It was another really, really rough game from C.J. Stroud. They still leaned
yeah.
on Mixon. I think that's what they
hmm
really got to do. But obviously, we could hit this in the review episode on the weekend or after the weekend. But it was a little bit alarming. In 2 out of 3 games, we've seen this.
Yeah. I mean, last week he didn't even play that great either. I mean, he played good, but I mean, you got to look at 3 games now where they
Hmm.
got blown out by the Packers. They barely beat the Colts with Anthony
Anthony
Richardson trying to
Richardson, yeah.
give them the game, and then in all intents and purposes, you got just manhandled last night. I think things are a little bit worrisome for the Texans right now. We'll see what they do at the trade deadline
Yeah,
Tuesday.
yeah. Well, Diggs obviously he's out for the year. I mean, the Diggs family has had a rough couple of weeks
Yeah,
though with injuries. So, I
yeah,
mean,
but
they got millions of dollars. Maybe it'll make it a little bit better.
yeah, definitely.
But we got a lot of games to get to. So, let's just change it up. We already started with the NFL. We're going to start with the NFL games this week. So, hopefully, y'all lean in, get excited. Because it is over halfway through the season, which is crazy to be thinking about already. In college football, we have like 4 games left on most people's schedules, which is
Yeah,
insane and super sad at the same time.
yes, definitely sad.
But we're going to start with an incredible game. We got the Lions and the Packers. Tubby, tell me some of the keys to this game.
Jordan Love's got to play,
Yes.
but it sounds like there's a good possibility he's playing. He's been practicing all week, so I think that things are trending in the right way for them there. For them, it's going to come down to can that defense, that secondary, or can they get pressure on Jared Goff and can they cause some turnovers? What Packers
Mhm.
have done great this year. I mean, they already have more turnovers this year than they had all last season. So if they can maybe get Goff to turn the ball over, help with that side because the defense has played a little up and down. Like last week, that game shouldn't have been anywhere close to the way it was
Yeah.
because the defense, look what they did against CJ Stroud the week before, and you're like, oh, the defense is starting to catch on. Well, then
Yeah.
last week it was like someone flipped the switch and we saw 2023 Packers defense. So it kind of they have to find that consistency, and I think for the Lions, it's if you can get that run game going like they've been doing the last couple of weeks, man, that
Hmm.
that offense is just humming right now.
Yeah. And I think that honestly be my whoever can win the running game is going to do it. So the Packers, regardless if Love plays, they got to make sure Jacobs gets involved in the game,
Yeah.
wear the defense out, um, because with the injury again to Love, I
hmm
think that's just a piece to keep him as healthy as possible. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Who you picking in this game? Lions are
I'm
favorite
going.
on the road.
I'm going Packers just because I'm a
Yeah.
Packers fan. But I am so I think that they should probably sit Jordan Love because you do have a bye week next week.
Hmm.
So give him a couple weeks because yeah, you will be 0-2 in the division more than likely, but you're still what would be 6-3 throughout. On the with your overall record, you're still fine setting up going for a playoff spot.
Hmm.
I think that it'd be smarter for them to set Love, let him get 2 weeks, and really let the groin heal up
Hmm.
instead of throwing him out there this week and hoping it doesn't get worse.
No, I hear that. The bye week, yeah, it's definitely is an easy time to make that like, hey, we'll be okay. We've already
Mm-hmm.
won with Malik Willis a couple times, so I could see that
Yeah,
happening. But obviously, as a fantasy owner myself, I'm kind of hoping he plays.
yeah.
Uh, let's go ahead. We're going to move on to the Cowboys. Is this a must-win game for the 3-4 Cowboys this week versus Atlanta?
I think it is the way they're playing right now. Yeah, they they played better last week against the 49ers, especially in the second half. But
Hmm.
it's just the way the NFC is right now. You can't get too far behind because you've
Hmm.
got some surprise teams right now that are in playoff positions. No one saw the Commanders being up there this year.
Mm-hmm.
having a shot. And then Seahawks, yeah, they've been up and down, but they're still right on the cusp of the playoffs. The Bears, I mean, you got teams. If you fall too far behind in the way they're playing, and they don't have an easy schedule,
Mm-hmm.
you can't get too far behind, and they lose a couple more games. Their playoff hopes are getting dashed quick.
Yeah, give me Atlanta in this game. I'm not saying that because I just don't believe the
No.
Cowboys. I just don't believe the Cowboys right now, especially with the way Kirk Cousins has been playing, like just
Mm-hmm.
a classic version of Kirk Cousins this season, not like a
Yeah.
short sample size. We know who he is. We know what to expect, and yeah. So I do think it is they gotta win this game. I just don't see it
Mm-hmm.
happening. I think they're reeling, and
Yeah.
what's funny is they're going to be 3-5, and they're probably still going to keep everything staying pat. They're not going to make any changes. We've seen
Yeah.
this before with Jerry. Jerry doesn't like to make changes. Jason Garrett made a career of going 8-8 every year. So
Yeah.
I don't. I mean,
You
3-5
have
is difference.
you have to go get a running back. You
No,
have to find a running back somewhere
yeah.
because you are the worst rush offense in the NFL.
They're terrible. And Zeke is Oh man.
Yeah, Zeke. Oh, we'll throw
Move on.
Dalvin Cook out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. We got the Colts versus the Vikings. This is Sam Darnold versus Joe Flacco now. He is back at it after, hey, coach, I'm a little tired. While the offensive line are like, bro, I'm tired. I'm not coming out of the game.
Yeah.
Still can't believe he did that. And especially because the
Yeah.
next play, do you know what it was?
Wasn't it like third and 20 something or something
It
like
was a
that? And he handed
handoff.
it off. Yeah.
Yeah, so like you couldn't have done that. You should have been fine. So I
Right.
just think he did. I don't get it. I'm glad they benched him. I think they should keep him
Mm-hmm.
on the bench for quite some time. Some people say like 3 or 4 weeks, let him come back. No,
Rest of the season.
rest of the season, maybe next year. I don't know. Who knows? Just keep him on the bench. Be a little bit more patient right now because Joe Flacco
Yeah.
is a much better quarterback for what that team can do in the AFC
Mm-hmm.
and with that division. So, but Colts Vikings, is this a because this is a reeling Vikings team of what you talked about
Mm-hmm.
over 3 weeks ago? Is this another loss for the Vikings?
I think it is because look what that offense does with Joe Flacco on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Pittman Jr. becomes much more of a threat. Jonathan Taylor becomes much more of a threat. Josh Downs. I mean, A.D. Mitchell. They've got some offensive weapons there, and you get a quarterback that can actually play quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Flacco. I think this is another loss for the Vikings, and we're starting to see what we expected from the Vikings at the beginning of the year, and them start to lose some ground.
Yeah. There's a couple games you just do not want to watch. This Panthers, Saints, no thanks.
Yeah.
The Raiders and Bengals. Real quick thoughts? You think Bengals get to 4-5?
Yes, but I think it's going to be more difficult than they think.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, we'll take it. How about Bills Dolphins this week? Are the Dolphins falling to 2-6?
Yes.
Wow, man. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't think anybody saw that coming. This is how hot of a seat is this for Mike McDaniel?
I don't think so much, just because I think a lot of it does predicate on what happened to Tua in week 2. I mean, if Tua's healthy, I don't think that you could probably pencil in maybe 3 or 4 wins right now. But the offense last week, I was surprised how kind of stagnant it looked for the most part with him back. So I don't know. I mean, their defense has played good, and then except for last week, it was like when Tua was out, the defense was one of the best defenses in the NFL. Tua's back now; the defense is bad again. So I don't kind of you pick and choose which one you want. Do you want a good offense and a bad defense, or do you want a good defense and a bad offense? You decide.
Yeah. Then we got the Ravens and Broncos. Surprisingly, both teams are 5-3. I think the Ravens thought they'd be better than that. I think the Broncos, we thought they'd be 3-5. All that said, Baltimore is a 8.5-point favorite in this game. It's tied for the biggest spread going into the weekend. How close? I mean, is this a good Broncos team? Is this a good measurement game, or we're going to see them fall to 5-4?
The big thing will be, does Lamar Jackson play? He didn't practice yesterday. I don't know if he'll practice today. He hurt his back and his knee in the loss, so we'll see if he plays. I mean, even with the healthy Lamar Jackson, or not really healthy, but somewhat healthy, a starting Lamar Jackson, this is a defense you don't want to be banged up against, because as much as the bad teams that they played, this is a good defense, especially in the secondary with Patrick Surtain, and they're a defense that likes physicality. This is not a recipe for a quarterback that's injured and is known for running to want to go up against a physical, hard-hitting defense.
Yeah, no, I agree. One more game I almost forgot to mention. Hey, probably don't watch this one. Titans Patriots. Yikes.
You ain't watching Titans and
I'm not
Patriots?
watching that game. There's no way I'm turning that one on, especially if it's Brissett still playing. I don't know about the concussion
Yeah.
yet, but Chiefs played the Buccaneers. Did Chiefs make it to 8-0?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
It,
Too many injuries for the Bucs right now.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Weapons wise, it's just there's nothing really for him to throw to a whole lot or consistently. I mean, I think McMillan could be a really good wide receiver at some point, but just not right now.
yeah,
And Kate Otton's really the only other option he has throwing the football to.
yeah. I would start Kate Otten. It's a tight
Oh,
end against the
absolutely.
Chiefs. Absolutely fantasy wise. We're gonna go. I know it's tomorrow's episode, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Make sure Kate Otten. I literally have him in one league, and I'm starting him
Mm-hmm.
and another tight end who's
Yep.
decent because of how good he has been. So
Yeah. Last two injuries. The
yeah,
two injuries, the last two games, 18, 20 some points. I'm starting him in any
yeah,
league I have him in.
yeah. Go for it.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right, well, that's the NFL weekend moving forward. I almost said weekend review. That's coming later. So make sure you subscribe to the show if you haven't already, because, yes, every single week we go ahead and break down what's happening in football this week. But also, we review it on the back end, and we have some more fantasy advice. And there's a lot of good stuff that comes to the W Sports Podcast. And so make sure you don't miss it. So hit subscribe if you haven't already, especially on YouTube, because guess what? We just finished October. So we're going to announce a giveaway next week with who won the signed NFL jersey. So the only way to
Yes,
get it
sir.
qualified is, by hitting that subscribe button. So just saying.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right, let's move on to the college football world. We have a top 5 matchup with number 3 Penn State hosting Ohio State at 11 o'clock. So you're going to start the college football day off right. Honestly, I'm not excited about it. I think it's going to be 21-17 final.
Yeah.
Give me Ohio State to win this game, but I'm not confident about it. What do you feel, Tubby?
Yeah, I think Ohio State wins, but like I said, this is a 3 versus 4 matchup, and it's like you didn't hear about it at all this week. I mean, like no one's excited about this because we know it's going to be more of a low scoring game. It's not going to be super exciting, whatever. And then plus, we don't even haven't seen yet whether or not Drew Aller's playing.
Yeah, I'm not
And that's a
surprised they
big
haven't
thing.
let us know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have the requirement like the SEC does where you got to put out the injury report at a certain time throughout the week.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm just not super excited to watch this game.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I'll probably watch the Ole Miss Arkansas game over that.
Absolutely.
Both of those teams, it's not that Ohio State and Penn State are bad. It's just that they're
Just
not entertaining to
exciting.
really watch. Yeah, they're just not.
Yeah.
So definitely, it's gonna be good for college football. It's gonna be a great atmosphere. Penn State's probably, I
Mm-hmm.
would imagine they're doing a whiteout. I don't know, but so
Yeah.
it's worth turning on. But don't be afraid to change the channel if you get kind of bored, because you don't want to start
Yeah.
your college football day off that way. So.
No.
But yeah, interesting. We're both taking them. All right, let's move on. We got Oregon versus Michigan. That's an afternoon game. Who do you got in that one?
Oregon by 40.
By 40. Wow. Okay. I mean, yeah, it's not going to be close. I think it's going to be too difficult for Michigan to even score points, but they're going to fall to 5-4 after this.
Yeah, that offense is so bad.
Yeah, and Oregon's really just gelling.
Yeah,
Really
Oregon right now is absolutely the team to beat.
Yeah. It's going to be so that's 2 Big Ten football games, and both of them are going to be in the 50s. It's going to be great fall, November.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good day to at least watch it for that part. All right, so I'm curious. Whenever you're looking at this weekend's game, does OU beat Maine?
They better.
Otherwise, Venables is done. Yeah, that's all we really need to talk about. It's not going to be a great game, but
it's gonna be so nasty. We're going. Oh man, it's supposed to just pour all day.
listen, the game that Samaje Perine rushed for 434 yards. I went to that game, and it was I think 40 degrees or 38 degrees the whole time, and rained.
Yeah,
Awful, but record breaking. So you never know what's going to happen.
that's
That
true.
was against Kansas, I'm pretty sure. So at least it was an FBS team when he broke the record. But still, it'll be good. And last year when OU played Kansas, also it's always Kansas. When they played OU against Kansas, it was like 37 out, and it rained the whole time, and they lost. So
and they lost.
Anyway, just doesn't look like. I mean, at least it's Maine this time. You're not really worried about it.
Yeah.
Ole Miss versus Arkansas. We talked about that earlier. Arkansas has kind of been a surprise team in the SEC. They're 5-3, and Ole Miss has struggled a little bit to be explosive. You talked about this previous weeks of just some of the injuries that they've had. Can Arkansas pull off the upset?
I think they can, and I think they do.
Okay.
Hayden Green is playing really good football right now. Quarterback for Arkansas. He is a difference maker. I mean, the legs, the arm, he needs to get a little bit more accurate when he throws, but he's got the arm strength, he's got the athleticism. I think it's going to be tough for them because that offense is explosive.
Yeah, I agree. I do like Arkansas to at least keep it close. It'll depend on how many turnovers they have, but
Yeah.
I like what you said. Green has been really good this year. Um, you got Texas Tech versus Iowa State. Iowa State's trying to sneak into the top 10. They're tied at 11 right now, which is still
Mm-hmm.
hilarious that we've done this a couple of times now. But who you got in this one?
I think this is a sneaky game for Iowa State to watch out for. Texas Tech's always a difficult team to play because you just never know which Texas Tech you're going to get. You're either going to get the really bad Texas Tech or you're going to get the Texas Tech that comes out there and they're going to put up 500 yards on offense, and all of a sudden their defense looks like one of the top defenses in college football. So I think this is a kind of a trap game for them, with the rest of their schedule leading up to the Kansas State game at the end of the season. This is a game they got to watch out for where they can get tripped up. I think they win, but I think it's going to be a close game.
Yeah. Well, and so real quick, also side note, Indiana, they got their quarterback. He's supposed to be back this week against Michigan State, so that's good as they head into. I think they give Columbus in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's big to see that he stays healthy. I do have another quarterback one that I'm curious about. This is kind of a upset alert for me. It's an evening game, A&M on the road versus South Carolina. Here's what I would say: South Carolina wins if Connor Wegman plays.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, I think A&M wins. I think A&M needs to move on to Wegman, honestly, and I don't like this recommending this. I think he needs to consider the transfer portal at some point because I just think he needs to get like I don't think there's a way that this program can move forward with him knowing who's ready to run and who their offense has been better with.
Yeah, we've mentioned this. Marcel Reed makes that offense better.
Yeah.
And the fact that they keep, whenever Wegman got healthy and they went back after the success that Reed had early on, whenever Wegman got hurt, I was surprised they went back to Wegman and, move away from what was working. I mean, it still worked. I mean, they're undefeated. They've only got one loss, but it's the fact that you look so much better explosively on offense with Reed as quarterback.
Yeah. Can Clemson continue the momentum with their 7th win in a row over Louisville? They are at home.
Yeah, I think they win. I mean, it's not a super exciting weekend, big top 10 matchups, but you got some very big conference games, implications because there's another game I almost put on there, and it was Syracuse versus Virginia Tech. I mean, both are 5-3. We talked about Virginia Tech potentially making the playoffs, and right now they've only got one ACC loss, and they're in that mix, maybe for making the ACC, championship game if a couple things fall their way. So this is a game they'll definitely be watching, hoping that somehow Louisville's able to knock off Clemson and help them out a little bit.
Yeah, because then you got SMU Pitt, also ACC matchup, and this is you're starting to play into who's going to play Miami, assuming that Miami wins.
Yeah.
It is Duke this week, so you never know. But
yeah,
it is a very big week for the ACC conference. I think even more so than the Big Ten right now, because I think the Big Ten is very top heavy. Obviously, the SEC is, but someo's got to play Miami. And does Miami not choke?
That's the thing. Miami has to not choke. I mean, Miami we've seen them, week in, week out, every once in a while, have this just really bad game and have to just hope that Cam Ward can do his magic and get you a win. So it's one of the ACC, I think, is a very interesting conference. It's not super strong, but there's like 6 teams that are in play for potentially playing in that conference championship game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree. And speaking of which, did you make your pick yet for SMU Pitt?
I'm going SMU. This was my dark horse in the ACC at the beginning of the year. I think this is a team that, Oklahoma is looking for an offense coordinator. I think this maybe is a team to look at. SMU offense coordinator has been really good. I think maybe he might get a look at it from Oklahoma. So I think the way that they're going right now, I think they have a chance to jump in there and be that team to play Miami.
Well, they got 2 out of 3 ranked games over the next couple of weeks, so this is a good test for them to see how they do. So we'll see.
Yep.
But that's a weekend in football preview. So we hope you enjoyed it, guys. Make sure you are subscribed. If you're not, what are we doing? You just gotta listen. Okay. Anyway, I could say all the phrases, but it is a ton of fun to do the W Sports Podcast. We're grateful for each and every one of y'all listeners as we head to 300 subs. Till then, we'll see y'all tomorrow.
See ya.
See ya.